Good morning, grade 4s. Today in art you're going to learn about the elements of art. The elements of art are what make up art. Every piece of art that you create has these elements in it, and these elements will help you create better pieces of art. So it's important that we learn about them. There are 7 elements of art: line, shape, color, value, form, texture, and space. This year we're going to focus on color and value more than the rest. But it's important that we understand the others. So a line is made when you take a dot and you drag it along. So for example, if you put your pen down on a piece of paper and you drag your pen along, that is creating a line. There are many different types of lines we can create, but basically it's just moving a dot around on a piece of paper or on a canvas. That creates a line. When 2 or more lines come together, they can create a shape. A shape is flat. It is something called two-dimensional. And shapes can either be geometric, kind of like the shapes that you have in maths, or shapes can be organic, so kind of like splodges or weird curvy bits. The next element is color, and color is one of the most important elements that you have. Color is created by light, and color actually has got 3 properties, or basically there are 3 things that can influence color. The hue of a color, that its name. So for example, blue is a hue, red is a hue. Then the value of the color. So you know how you get light blue and dark blue? That's value. You get value by adding black and white. So to make light blue, you add white to blue. And if you want to make dark blue, you have to add a little bit of black to blue. Those are shades and tints. And then you get intensity. How bright is the blue? Is it standing out nicely, or is it pulling back? Value we've already touched on. Value is how light or dark something is. And changing the light or the darkness in a color or in a piece of work is called contrast, or changing the contrast. Value can either be achieved by using lines creatively, or value can be achieved by making a darker or a lighter hue by adding in white or black. Then we've got form. Form is when you take a shape and you give it some shading to make it look almost like it's 3D. It's making it try and stick out of the page or out of the canvas. There are some amazing works out there done by people who make things 3D. Then we get texture. Texture is trying to use lines to really create the feeling of an actual surface. So trying, for example, to use maybe organic lines to make something look knitted, or make something look like a brick. You might add in some cracks or fissures using lines to create that texture. Space is basically how to make pictures look like they're taking up space. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to take your thumb, and I want you to put your thumb kind of like where your nose is, right? I want you to look across the room, see if you can find a window or a door, and I want you to look at the length of your thumb and the length of the door or the window. And you should find that your thumb is looking either bigger or the same size as that window or that door. Now I want you to actually go and measure it, and you will see that your thumb is actually not. Things that are closer to us look bigger to us. That is why if we hold a leaf, the leaf can look bigger than the sun, when in reality the sun is much bigger than the leaf. Okay, we can use that in art. If you take a look at the picture at the bottom over here, you will see that there is a person in the background, and there's leaves in the foreground. They're the leaves in the foreground, and there's a person in the background. That person is smaller than those leaves. Is a person really smaller than leaves? No. But by using space, by understanding that things that are closer seem bigger and things that are further away seem smaller, we can make it seem more realistic. Now, today we're going to focus on colors, and specifically we're going to start looking at the color wheel. Over here is a color wheel, and this is a very interesting color wheel because it already has the primary colors in the middle and the secondary colors on the outside. So let me show you quickly. Here is a primary color, a primary color, and a primary color. That is yellow, blue, and black. Then of course you get your secondary colors, which come from mixing of primary colors. So blue and yellow makes green. Blue and red makes purple. And yellow and red makes orange. Right. From those colors, you can mix all the other colors of the color wheel. So once again, our primary colors are in the center. That is yellow, blue, and red. Then yellow and blue mixed together makes green, blue and red mixed together makes purple, and red and yellow mixed together makes orange. Over here we've got a different type of color wheel. This color wheel has already got the hues added in with their names, and you will see, let's see if we can find our primary colors. So our primary colors are going to be the yellow over here, the blue down over here, and the red over there. Now, if we take a look in exactly the middle between our two primary colors, we are going to find our secondary colors. Let's see if we can find them. Well, between yellow and blue, there is green. Between yellow and red, I have found my orange. And between red and blue, I have found my violet, or my purple. Then you will see that they have different names. So for example, yellow green, blue violet, red orange, and yellow orange. On the right hand side next to it, we see a couple of different terms. So we can see where it says primary colors. Underneath primary, it says secondary colors. And then all those other colors in between the primary and the secondary colors, those are intermediate colors. So the yellow orange, the red orange, red violet, blue green, and yellow green are all intermediate colors. Now, there are two other colors you need to know, or two other terms about colors I want you to know by the end of this lesson. And that is the analogous colors. And analogous colors are the colors that blend into each other. So think about the yellow orange, the red orange, the red. Or your blue violet, red violet, and red. They kind of blend into each other. Those are analogous colors. The next color I want you to look at is the complementary color. The complementary color is the color that sits opposite each other on the color wheel. So if I'm looking at yellow and its complementary color, I literally just go across the color wheel, bloop, and see that yellow's complementary color is violet. If I go from blue and I go across the color wheel, blue's complementary color is orange. If I go from red across, you will see the complementary color is green. Right. You'll find that the primary colors and the secondary colors are complementary colors to each other. Finally, just a reminder of the tint. Tint is making it lighter and shade is making it darker. So if we add a tint, we are adding white to the color to make it brighter, and shade will be making it darker. Now, grade 4s. That color wheel I showed you will not actually mix colors nicely for you. If you use the previous color wheel, you will get very muddy colors. And that's because the true color wheel, the true primary colors on the color wheel are actually cyan, which is this blue over here, this like sky blue, magenta, which is that purpley pink, and yellow, being yellow. If you take your pencil crayons and you can find that kind of purpley pink and that kind of sky blue, you can actually play around with this and you'll be able to mix red and blue. Now in theory, you should never be able to make red, you should never be able to make that blue because they are primary colors. Primary colors cannot be made. The reason why we know that cyan, yellow and magenta are the actual primary colors, or this will make sense to you, is if your mom and dad has a printer at home, or if you ever go and see, like for example in Incredible Connection, you'll see that they sell printers, like ink cartridge printers. The inks that they use are cyan, magenta and yellow because those three colors can mix anything. And that is called the additive color wheel. The additive color wheel. So when you're adding it together, you get those are your colors that you need to mix. So if you're adding colors together, you need to mix yellow, cyan, and magenta. A little bit of science here for you, but subtractive primary colors. Those are the primary colors that the colors are taking away from each other. We use the subtractive colors when we are thinking about things like your TV, your Xbox, your monitors. They will all be using subtractive. So what they do is they use the red, the blue and the green to mix together to make all the other colors. That only works with subtractive. Then what they do is if they put all the colors together, they make something go dark, and if you have none of the colors there, it'll go white. Whereas with additive, it kind of goes in the opposite direction. Additive is more, you're talking about your light reflection. Light reflection, that is what we do when we are making art. We're reflecting light. Whereas TV, subtractive, we are projecting light, like a projector versus bouncing off the board. Over here we have got some pieces of art where the color wheel has been used. You can see in this artwork how they've used lines to create eyelashes in the shape of the eye and even the color wheel. I love drawing eyes, I love pictures of eyes, so I really like how here they use the color wheel as the actual iris of the eye. The iris is the colored part of your eye, and I think that looks pretty cool. In this picture, we have got the color wheel once again, but over here you can see it is being the skirts of a ballerina. Once again, like the previous picture, you will notice that the rest of the picture is black and white. They are wanting the color wheel to really stand out. And over here, this is an example of work we are going to do later on in the term, where you are going to be taking a tracing of your hands and you are going to be using colors with the shapes and the lines. You'll notice here how they are using blue and green, blue, green and purple, and they're using red, yellow and orange. Now remember, orange and blue are complementary, green and red are complementary, and yellow and purple are complementary. They are complementary because they make each other stand out. I mean, if you take a look at the yellow and the purple is really making the yellow jump out at you. If you take a look at the red and the green, same thing. And the same happens with the blue and the orange. They make each other stand out. And that's the point of the complementary color. The yellow, red and orange are analogous colors. They are colors that blend into each other. They don't make each other stand out. They kind of come together in a harmony. The same thing with the green, the blue and the purple. They blend together. They are harmonious. They are analogous. Right, and that is the end of our lesson on the art elements, the introduction to color theory. What I want you now to do is you are going to go on to Purple Mash, and I have set you a to-do with the paint. And what you're going to do is you are going to be creating your own color wheel. Now for now, grade 4s, I want you to focus on just using yellow, blue and red as your primary colors. We will leave the additive, the cyan, yellow and magenta for later.